Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful girl on an island not far off from the Gulf of Mexico, a place called the Dominican Republic. Her name was Minerva Mirabal. She was born in 1927, the third child of Mercedes and Enrique. Her other siblings were girls too, Patria, Dede, and Maria Teresa. Minerva had been blessed with the opportunity of an education in a Catholic boarding school, Colegia Inmaculada Concepcion. She also had her sisters, Patria and Maria Teresa, in the same school. In school, she learned about the world outside her family of farmers, and eventually, she dreamt the dream of becoming a lawyer. But there was a very bad man who ruled the country, a man who instilled fear into every person in the Dominican Republic. This man was named Rafael Trujillo. Trujillo liked his men tough and his women submissive. He would also kill anyone who got in the way of what he wanted. Though he had a wife, he would send out scouts to the countryside to scour for young girls to make his own. One day, one of his men, guised as a beauty scout, came to Colegio Inmaculada Concepcion to find a girl for Trujillo. This beauty scout laid eyes on Minerva and knew that this was the one for his leader. He had returned to Trujillo to report on Minerva's stunning appearance, and the two would meet for the very first time at a celebration in San Cristobal. He asked her, "Do you agree with my political ideology?" You see, Minerva knew this man's reputation as a leader. She had many friends in school who have had their relatives arrested, tortured, and even murdered by this man. She had no respect for this man as a leader nor a person whatsoever. And knowing she doesn't like this man, she replied, "Politics do not interest me." "And what if I sent my subjects to conquer you?" Trujillo challenged. "And what if I conquer your subjects?" Minerva challenged him in return. It was at that very moment that Minerva understood that Trujillo lusted after her. And as he tried to impose himself physically, Minerva slapped him across the face, proceeded to swiftly gather her family, and left the celebration. Trujillo was enraged. His pride was hurt, and he now held a very deep and vindictive grudge against Minerva. Firstly, he jailed her. Following that, he made it difficult for her to enroll in law classes. Minerva persevered, and after many other setbacks, she managed to graduate, summa cum laude no less, and yet the government denied her from practicing law. Trujillo was still enraged and escalated the attack on Minerva by attacking her father, imprisoning and torturing him. Upon his release, Minerva's father never recovered from his treatment and died shortly after. And still, Trujillo was not satisfied. He had his men virtually imprison Minerva's mother, Mercedes, in a hotel she was visiting. And the only way Minerva was told she could help was to engage in sexual relations with Trujillo. Minerva did not waver. She stood by her principles and refused. Her mother, fortunately, managed to escape. These atrocious actions by Trujillo sparked Minerva and her sisters, Patria and Maria Teresa, to come together and fight back. They were not going to take the humiliation and terrorism that this one man was inflicting, not only on them, but on the whole country. The sisters formed a resistance called the 14th of June movement to commemorate its date of inception in 1959, where for the second time, they tried to overthrow Trujillo's government. Unfortunately, the uprising swiftly turned into a massacre. The sisters' fame and reputation expanded, and they were soon called the Butterflies, a majestic symbol of freedom. Minerva, along with Patria and Maria Teresa and their husbands, proudly and tirelessly worked to rally the movement, aspiring to overthrow the dictatorship. But soon, Trujillo's men jailed the sisters' husbands. Nevertheless, the sisters did not falter. They continued and upped the ante, distributing pamphlets, gathering resources for weapons, even engineering makeshift bombs out of firecrackers for the physical battle they knew they would face. They even went as far as planning Trujillo's assassination. But soon, Trujillo's ever-present secret police caught wind of this plan, and sure enough, the entire group was thrown into jail. However, not too long after, thanks to international pressure, they were released. Trujillo was angry and unsatisfied. He was hungry for revenge. Trujillo began to plan the assassination of the Mirabal sisters. Trujillo transferred the sisters' imprisoned husbands to a correctional facility further away, a place where the sisters would have to trail mountains to reach. On the 25th of November 1960, the sisters planned a trip to visit their husbands. Now, the sisters had a hunch that this was a setup, but insisted on going to see them anyway. The three of them took off in a jeep with their driver on their journey to see their loved ones. As they traveled by the mountainside, making their way through the mountain pass, sure enough, they saw they were about to be ambushed by Trujillo's secret police. Patria knew this was the end. Patria scrambled to a nearby truck to explain who they were and what they knew was going to happen. She pleaded for the truck driver to spread the word and let everyone know they were about to die at the hands of Trujillo's men. The truck driver, without any hesitation, sped off into the mountains, leaving the women and their driver to face their demise. The sisters and their driver were strangled and beaten to death. Their dead bodies were shoved back into their jeep, of which Trujillo's men threw off the cliff to stage an accident. The deaths of the Mirabal sisters were broadcasted internationally as an automobile accident. And while many believed that this was the truth, the death of the sisters served as a final catalyst to overthrow Trujillo's government. Trujillo was assassinated not long after, only 6 months after the Mirabal sisters' murders by none other than a military general who had fallen from grace due to his own sisters' participation in the resistance. The Mirabal sisters have become hallowed icons of the Dominican Republic, the women who stood up against their evil dictator until their literal last breath. Dede, the Mirabal sister who did not participate in the resistance, survived the Trujillo reign and also lives on to tell the tale of her brave sisters. Minerva and her sisters moved the country towards a revolution of ending violence against women, and now the entire world commemorates their strength and purpose for their country on the 25th of November, officially and globally deeming the day of their deaths the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And that's all for Storytime with me tonight. Good night.